Her tiny hands were cracked from begging, her stomach so empty it hurt to breathe. The African girl sat by the school wall, humming softly to distract herself from hunger. She had nothing, yet when a little girl sobbed over a math problem, she knelt, her voice gentle, her mind sharp. She taught with a brilliance that did not match her rags. Then a shadow fell over them. The billionaire father stared at her, and his next words made her heart stop. Her tiny hands were cracked from begging, her stomach so empty it hurt to breathe. The African girl sat by the school wall, humming softly to distract herself from hunger. She had nothing, yet when a little girl sobbed over a math problem, she knelt, her voice gentle, her mind sharp. She taught with a brilliance that did not match her rags. Then a shadow fell over them. The billionaire father stared at her, and his next words made her heart stop. Hours earlier, Amina had woken on a piece of cardboard under the old market archway. The city had never been kind to her. Her mother died when she was 10, her father disappeared into the mines, and she had learned to survive by selling scraps she found in trash heaps. But no matter how hard hunger pressed against her ribs, she never forgot her love for learning. She carried a single treasure. A torn notebook filled with neatly written math problems, poems, and dreams she knew would never come true. That morning, as she wandered past the private school, Amina saw polished cars and clean uniforms. She stopped by the fence, her eyes drawn to the children's books. For a moment, she imagined herself in their place. Then a small voice broke through her daydream, a little girl, sitting on the curb, tears streaming down her face, a math book in her lap. Amina hesitated. Poor children like her were invisible here. If she spoke, she risked being chased away. But the child's tears pulled her forward. Kneeling down, she smiled gently. "May I help you?" The girl sniffled, nodding shyly. Amina's hands were steady as she explained the numbers, her words flowing like she had never left school. Within minutes, the girl was smiling, her pencil moving quickly. That was when the sound of an expensive engine rumbled behind them. A sleek black car stopped. The door opened. A tall man in a tailored suit stepped out, his eyes scanning the scene, then locking onto Amina's face. His expression shifted from confusion to something darker. And then, he said something that made Amina's blood run cold. Amina froze, her heart pounding. The billionaire's voice was calm, but there was something sharp beneath it. "Where did you learn to teach like that?" he asked, stepping closer. The little girl jumped up and ran to him, wrapping her arms around his leg. "Papa, she helped me. She's so smart." The man's gaze never left Amina's face. "What is your name?" "Amina," she whispered, her voice trembling. "And why," he continued slowly, "are you dressed like this?" Amina's throat tightened. She wanted to disappear, but the little girl's hopeful eyes stopped her from lying. I do not have a home, sir. I sleep outside." She expected him to dismiss her, maybe even call security. Instead, his jaw clenched. He looked like he was remembering something. Something that hurt. The little girl tugged at his sleeve. "Papa, can she come to my class? Please." Her words made nearby parents glance over, murmuring. A security guard stepped forward, but the man raised his hand to stop him. "Get in the car," he told his daughter gently. "I will speak to her." When the girl left, he stood before Amina, his voice low. "You remind me of someone. Someone I lost a long time ago." His eyes glistened, but in an instant, he blinked the emotion away. "Come with me." Amina hesitated. Everything she had learned on the streets told her not to trust strangers, especially rich ones. But something in his tone felt different. Against her better judgment, she followed him to the car. The driver opened the door, and for the first time in her life, Amina sat on leather seats so soft she thought she might sink into them. As they drove, the man said nothing. He only studied her, as if searching for answers written on her face. Finally, they stopped in front of a towering glass building. He stepped out, gestured for her to follow, and led her through the grand entrance. Inside, Amina's eyes widened. There were chandeliers, marble floors, and walls covered with photographs. But when she looked closer at one picture, she stopped breathing. Because staring back at her was a face she knew. Amina's knees felt weak. The photograph showed a young woman with warm brown eyes, wearing the brightest smile. Her hair was braided just like Amina's mother used to braid hers. She stepped closer, her voice shaking. That is my mother." The billionaire's head snapped toward her. His eyes widened, and for a brief second, all the polished control in his face shattered. "Your mother's name, what was it?" "Layla," Amina whispered. "Layla Mbeki." He turned away sharply, pressing a hand to his forehead. "It cannot be," he muttered. Amina's heart pounded as he looked back at her, his voice low and raw. "She saved my life once. Many years ago, when I was nothing. And then, she disappeared. I searched for her everywhere." Amina's chest ached. She had never known the full story of her mother's life before she died. "She told me about a man she helped," Amina said softly. "But I thought it was just a story. The man's eyes glistened. It was not just a story. And if you are her daughter, then you are like family to me. He took a deep breath, then motioned to his assistant. Bring her food. And clothes. The best we have. Within minutes, Amina was seated at a long table in an office bigger than any place she had ever seen. A steaming plate of food was placed in front of her. She hesitated at first, unsure if this was real, then took a bite. Tears filled her eyes as warm rice and stew touched her tongue. The man sat across from her. Amina, your mother once gave me something I could never repay, my second chance at life. I will not fail her daughter. His voice grew firm. From today, you will have a home. You will go to school. And you will never be hungry again. Amina's hands trembled. She had dreamed of hearing words like these, but they had always seemed impossible. Still, a question gnawed at her. Why had he been so shocked to see her teaching his daughter? The answer came with his next sentence, and it changed everything. The billionaire leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Amina, my daughter has not spoken to a stranger in 2 years. She is shy, afraid of people since her mother passed away. But when I saw her smiling with you, laughing, I realized something. You did not just help her with homework. You reached her heart. Amina's breath caught. I only wanted to help. And that, he said, is exactly why you are special. He stood and walked to the window, his back to her. I have all the money in the world, but I cannot buy kindness. I cannot buy what you have. Turning back, his eyes softened. So I am asking you, will you be her tutor? Live here, as part of our family. Amina's mouth fell open. Me. In this house? Yes, he said simply. Your mother gave me hope when I was lost. Now it is my turn to give you a future. For a moment, she could not speak. She thought of the cold nights on the street, the hunger, the fear, and then of the little girl's smile. Her heart swelled, and for the first time in years, she felt safe. Tears slid down her cheeks as she whispered, yes. Months later, Amina walked through the school gates, not as a beggar watching from the outside, but as a student in a crisp uniform, her head held high. The billionaire's daughter ran to her, laughing, and together they entered the classroom. And in that moment, Amina knew her life had changed forever. If this story touched your heart, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in the power of kindness. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.